All right, man. Pleasure to have you on. For all our listeners, welcome back to another episode of A Hunter's Legacy, the only podcast out there that actually takes the time to bring the common hunters into the spotlight and gives them the chance to share their stories, something unique we're doing here. So, Daniel, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and fill us in a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, buddy. It's really good to be here. Honored to be here. I've listened to a few of your podcasts here in the last week or so, and I love the stories that I've been hearing already. And to be able to just come on here and do kind of like a one-on-one, just kind of, just do like a normal hunter talk and not have to sales pitches or anything like that. It's pretty good. I'm Daniel Davis. I'm from Clendenin, West Virginia, born and raised. I've been here all my life. I started hunting with my dad at an early age, and he's the one that's taught me everything I know about the woods, about hunting, fishing, outdoor life, camping, you name it. We've done it. Really enjoyed it.
What do you do for work?
I'm actually an independent contractor right now. I've been doing it for 5 years, and I'm looking for a better job, but it's retail work's what it is. I do a lot of traveling, but it's local, which is a plus. But I'm home every night, which is another plus. But it's a lot of travel, but it's just retail. It's retail work.
What part don't you like?
The pay, it could be a lot better. I just need more consistent hours. I get paid by the hour, and the hourly is good, but I just need more consistent hours with it.
I gotcha. What do you want to do with your career?
Do something that I can basically work hands on, whether that's anything with delivery, anything with power tools, hand tools, just running a forklift, just something that I could use my hands more with, and just hands on. I'm better with hands on than I am anything else.
Power tools, Milwaukee or DeWalt?
I don't have either one of those brands, but if I'd had to prefer, I'd probably go DeWalt.
No, boy.
I'd probably, I mean, I've used both. Just friends of mine, and my dad's got a couple of DeWalt tools that he's just picked up in the last few years. But DeWalt seems like a good quality, but I know Milwaukee's got good quality too. So I could go either way, really.
I'm sure they're both pretty good. So you mentioned you got started hunting with your dad. Fill us in there when you started tagging along with him versus when you finally got to sit in the pilot seat and start being in control.
Well, let's see. It was growing up. I was in middle school, I think, and some guys that I met down at school got to be buddies and talk about hunting and fishing and everything with their dads. And I started coming home, and my dad had already been hunting most of his life with his family and his dad and stuff like this. And he got a few deer, and he'd come home and I would help him hang the deer and skin the deer, and he would just show me parts of this, parts of that, and I got into it through talking to my friends at school, and then him showing me what he knew, and then I started hunting with him. I can't remember what age I was, but I don't know, 10, 11, 12, somewhere around in there. But he thought I was old enough and mature enough to go out and harvest a deer. And no, you're not supposed to do that. Anything else, but take deer. And my mom was kind of hesitant on him taking me just because it's a carcass, it's a dead body. Let's get real with it. But that never did bother me. What she was, obviously, but it never was that kind of thing. So, but I don't know. He turned me loose. He hunted with me for, I don't know, 4 or 5 good years, just show me the ins and outs, what to do, what not to do. And then one year he just said, I asked him, I said, "Are we going?" And I think it was bow hunting. And he said, "No, I'm gonna let you take it." And man, that was like the greatest feeling ever, from going under his wing that many years to, okay, he trusts me to go out there and do the right thing and know what to do, where to go. He told me where to go if I got lost, if I got turned around, to not panic, what to look forward to. And man, that first time out by myself was it's amazing. It really was. It honestly made me feel like a man to go out there. I'm not gonna lie. It was special.
Were you a man at that time?
Well, I was, but I wasn't. To be honest with you, I thought I obviously knew more than what I did, but just it just made you feel like when you're on cloud nine that your mom and dad trusted you enough to go out there by yourself and knew they knew I knew what I was doing enough to go out there and learn from what he taught me. And yeah, as I got older, obviously taught myself a lot of things. But
You were about 15, 16 at this time?
when I was by myself, probably
Okay.
probably 13, 14, somewhere around in there. He turned me loose, and I've been doing it ever since. So
Going back to this whole carcass thing and your mom not being so sure about it, was it just didn't want you to get sick from the carcasses, or was it kind of like parents that don't want their kids to play gory video games at a young age?
I think it was more of the fact that she didn't want that to scare me, because that was long before we started hunting together. And he actually started teaching me about the hunt. I was just out there trying to help him, wash it out, clean it out, hang it, everything that needs to be done. And she just, I don't know, she was protective of me at that age, of course. And I guess she was trying to keep from, me getting scared over that. Of course, it didn't scare me at all. But I think that was more or less what it was, to just not try to scare me with with that process.
Now, going back to when you were a kid and where you grew up, what kind of hunting was your dad doing? What was the hunting culture? What seasons were you hunting?
Well, mainly it was bow hunting. It was bow hunting, and then gun season would come around, and he'd have a few days off of work, and we would go gun hunting. But we basically started, and he would be at the house weekends. Some evenings he'd get off early from work, and I was really wanting. He had a bow that he currently hunted with at the time, and then he let me use a bow that he bought my mom, because him and my mom used to bow hunt together. Not a lot, but she went with him. He bought her a bow, and I was taught from her bow through him. And we would go out there and shoot bows together in the backyard, and we would bow hunt together, whitetail deer here, obviously. And we would gun hunt together, get our guns sighted in. So that was basically the tradition here, and what we hunted here was whitetail deer. And we would also, it wasn't just about the hunt, of course, it was teaching me how to shoot a bow, the ins and outs of a bow, teaching me how to shoot a gun, to be safe with it, and know your background. Taught me know your background before you take the shot, and just know your surroundings when you're shooting a bow, when you're shooting a gun. And deer, man, it was all about deer. We didn't have, and we still don't have anything other than deer. We got turkey here, and we got bear here now, but we went on some squirrel hunts too. But it was mainly the deer at the time when I first started hunting.
What part of West Virginia are you in?
Kanawha County.
You got to speak to somebody that's never been to West Virginia, man.
Have you not? You're missing out. We're in the central part. We're about an hour northeast of Charleston.
Okay. West Virginia is one of those states where somebody from the Midwest would think probably doesn't have any big deer, but I follow a gal on Instagram or Facebook, and she's big into the trad bows, and she kills some stompers.
Right.
I think she's from West Virginia.
Okay. We do have some trad hunters here. I've actually, and matter of fact, I've actually thought about getting into traditional hunt myself. Because I mean, I shot them going through school, but that's shot the traditional bows going through school, like gym class stuff like that. But I never did have an actual traditional bow to shoot with. And I've thought about the last few years getting into it myself, just an added challenge. That's one reason why I love bow hunting. It's just the challenge of everything that goes with it and comes with it. So I think traditional would add that extra challenge for sure to it.
But a compound's no harder than a crossbow.
Well, I don't agree with that at all.
If you go on my Facebook, I had a post about me and a guy saying, "Oh, we never let our kids use crossbows," and they're like, "Oh, you use a trad bow, huh? Because compound's basically the same thing." Like, no.
No,
Crossbow you can sight in once and never have to shoot it again until you shoot at something.
right. I do not like crossbows at all. I don't diss anybody from hunting with them at all. I mean, you hunt with what you want. You hunt with what you were taught with. You hunt with what you're good with. Because no matter what you hunt with, it's the same goal. No matter what you're hunting with, that's just to take that animal cleanly. And I just I'm a compound guy at heart. I love compound. And now I've had a crossbow, and I've killed a 8-point with a crossbow years ago, but it was a PSE Fang, and that thing sounded like a 12 gauge cracking almost every time you shot it. It was a cam driven bow. It's not the recurve style bow of crossbows, and it was just stupid loud, and I didn't like anything about it at all, and I actually missed 2 or 3 deer with it because the actual scope rings kept coming loose somehow. And every time you'd shoot it, I'd have to almost tighten the scope rings up. So it was just, it really gave me another really bad idea about a crossbow. But I'm a compound guy.
In Iowa, you can't use a crossbow at any point during archery unless you physically need it.
Right.
Like, you can't use crossbows, and I'm not saying crossbows shouldn't never be legal in Iowa, but to have them legal the entire archery season, I'm very much against, because there's just something magical about having to practice all summer and stay on top of that, stay in shape, well, shooting shape for one opportunity. Whereas crossbow, you could have sighted it in 5 years, pull it off the shelf, go sit in a stand and shoot.
I 100% agree. To me, with a compound, just like you said, you have to put in that work yearly. It never stops. The prep never stops. The preseason never stops. The practice shooting never stops. With a crossbow, you just pick it up, slide it in, you put it back. I like everything that the challenge comes with a compound. If you have to change one thing, it resets 99.9% of the time. It resets everything, and you have to religiously practice it all year long, like you said, for that one shot to make that one shot count.
Yep. Going back to when you were younger and you were hunting with your dad, I'm just trying to compare it how I grew up. It was a lot of party hunting. It wasn't just me and my dad going out.
Right.
But when you got started, was it just you flying, well, not flying solo, but just you and your dad?
It was just me and him, and that's the way it stayed from day one till he turned me loose, as I call it, and that was the best feeling that anybody could ever have. And if you bow hunted with your dad, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's him teaching you the woods, how to respect the woods, just one on one with him. There was no parties with it. It was just me and him talking about before, talking about it after, talking about what he's seen, what I seen, the mistakes that happened when he was out there, the mistakes that happened when I was out there. It was just me and him. There was no cameras, there was no spotlight. It was just the spotlight. I mean, cameras and partying, this kind of thing. But there was nothing of that. It was just me and him, one on one. And I miss that because he hasn't hunted for a long time, unfortunately. But he's had a lot going on since he's turned me loose. But I've told people that know me, if it wasn't for my dad, I don't know that I would have learned to hunt. That's something that I respect and cherish and will always, keep for the rest of my life.
That's pretty cool. Is party hunting big where you're at, or is it a lot of solo hunters?
There's hunt teams here. That's obviously on national TV. It does, and I guess you could call that the party style hunting, where it's cameras and lights and this and that, but most of it's solo. I hunt solo. Most of my neighbors, most of my friends hunt solo. And every now and then we'll double up and get in a tree or a blind together and do a little filming and this and that. But for the most part, it's just us alone enjoying enjoying the time alone and enjoying the woods together.
When I say party hunting in Iowa, they call party hunting where you might have a group of 10 people and 5 people might be on stand while the other 5 push this block of timber towards the standers.
Gotcha. And that here, that's called a deer run. Same difference, just a different name. But we'll do that. Not really for bow season, but late gun season, late muzzleloader season, something like that. They'll do a deer drive. I'm sorry. They'll do a. My neighbors will do it. I've never done it with anybody else. I've never done it. Period. But they'll do a deer drive. Really late season. Not in bow season. We've never done it in bow season. That would that would be interesting, actually. That would be interesting to see how it would go down, to say the least.
You'd have to get pretty lucky, wouldn't you?
Well, you're saying doing a deer drive bow hunting.
No, just in general.
Okay. It would be interesting, period, because you're trying, in my mind, you're trying to shoot a deer on the run. So that would be tough. So I'd like to see that.
Just like shooting a pheasant.
Oh, okay. Well, I've wanted to do that, but I never have. So I'd like to bird hunt.
We haven't done deer drives in 12, 13 years. I used to be able to dead sprint
Really? No kidding.
with a shotgun and slug.
No kidding. That'd be an adrenaline rush. That'd be a good adrenaline rush. That'd be a fun time.
It was a lot of fun. I'm not saying it's unethical, but it's more about the killing than the actual hunt itself. Why don't you describe the layout of where you're at, the topography, the landscape?
Very steep. That's an understatement. We got some rolling hills here, but it's more straight up and down. Deep hollers, creek beds, logging roads, pipeline crossings, pipelines in general. We've got 2 or 3 pipelines here that are just, up, down, just, creek bottoms, everything like that. And there's a couple haulers here that I agree with and my neighbors agree with, that it would have to be a state record to even think about trying to shoot with a bow or a gun. Because there's no four-wheeler access. There's no logging road in and out to where you can drive to and from. It's all walking. So it's a tough walk, but it's a nice piece of land here. We got about 500 plus acres, I'd say here. Probably give or take a little more than that.
What do you mean pipeline?
The pipeline crossings, pipelines that they've cleared the right of way out and put the pipeline through, and we've got 3 of those here that go up and over to the adjoining properties around us.
The way you described it, I was thinking you had to like climb over a giant hill, but is that just like a logging road where it's kind of cleared out?
No, it's an actual pipeline that they just pick random spots, and I don't know how they do that. Pick places through the woods to put the pipeline at, but they pick random places, certain places through the woods. It doesn't matter if it's up and over hills or across benches or what. They come in, they completely clean all the trees out for a certain width right away, and then they put the pipeline through there. And then they have logging roads that they can access that, different wellheads, and there's one or two good roads through where I hunt that crosses pipelines, and that they can access, and that I actually access where I hunt too on those roads as well.
These pipes are buried, aren't they?
Yes, yes.
I was gonna say.
I'll take it back. Two of them are, and three or four of them are not. They're just laying on top of the ground, but they all have that certain width right away that they put them on. But there's three buried pipelines back there that have they completely logged it, completely timbered it, even all the way cut the tree roots out. I mean, completely cleaned it out and run through. But there's three buried, and there's quite a few of them. It's just laying on top of the ground.
How big are these ones laying on top of the ground?
12-inch, 12 to 15-inch.
You can't shoot a hole in them?
No, well, you could if you had a rifle and shoot a hole in them, but it's not advised to, by no means.
Well, you'd think accidents happen. It would happen at some point.
It would. Knock on wood, I've never done it, thankfully, but I know people that have, and they've shot at a deer and missed, and it put a hole in the pipeline, and that was a sight to see and hear.
Sprung a leak?
Oh yeah, you could say that. You could say that.
What are these pipes moving?
Natural gas.
Oh, that probably wouldn't be very good then.
Natural gas. So it's a sight to see when they get a hole in them.
Hopefully it didn't make a spark.
Well, there's been some really bad fires back here before because of that happened. Either somebody shot a hole in it, or a tree fell on top of it and smashed it. Busted a hole in it, and it's been some really bad fires here in the past that I've seen from that.
The way you're talking, like there's pipes all over the place in West Virginia.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of pipelines here. Yes, there's a lot. There is a lot of pipeline here.
That's interesting.
A lot of pipeline.
Where are they going to?
Different states. The ones, and I live a half a mile above a gas compressor station. One of the lines down there feeds to Maryland. Just they go through the hills of West Virginia, either on top of the ground or under the ground, and they go across state lines. And like I said, one of them goes all the way to Maryland.
That's interesting. There's a pipeline that traveled within a mile of where I grew up. Just one, but it was like a 3 or 4 foot pipe buried underground.
Yeah,
it was massive.
Right. I don't know. I don't think we have them that big here. If we do, I don't know anything about them, but I know the ones here, about 12, 15 inch, somewhere around in there.
Is it mostly timber where you're at?
Yes. Yeah, there's acres of it.
Just giant blocks of timber, huh?
Yes. Yeah, it's a lot of. It's been timbered before, but there is a lot of timber here.
How big do you think the average timber section is? 500,000 of acres?
I'm probably close to 1,000 here. 1,000 acres here.
And that's kind of a smaller parcel?
Yes. Yeah, they
really.
Yeah, they've got other sections of timber here that kind of neighbor me, but kind of don't. That's thousands of acres.
Interesting.
Have you ever heard of Canal State Forest? It's here. It's in Charleston, but it's thousands of acres. I'm not exactly sure what number it is, but it's thousands of acres.
In Iowa, it's a lot of, 20s on the small side, 40 acres, but it's mostly row crop fields where we're at. And you just have a little block of timber here, then you might go a mile and see another block of timber.
Right. I've seen pictures of Iowa, and man, if you're in Iowa, man, that's got to be studs out there. I've seen pictures, I've seen videos of food plots, acres and acres of cornfields, and it looks really, really good out in Iowa.
There's not a giant behind every tree, I can tell you that.
I can guarantee that. I bet. What I've seen, it looks amazing.
It's pretty good in spots. When you think about it, wonder why West Virginia doesn't have studs with such giant blocks of timber. There's got to be so many acres that people can't access.
Well, there is a lot, but I'll go ahead and go here. Most of, I think, West Virginia's problem is gun season. There's not enough management here, in my opinion, to have studs and keep them, grow them every single year. If you don't manage, you're not going to have the big ones. We try to manage here, but it's so hard because our neighbors don't manage. Come gun season, open day, it sounds like a war going on here, and a lot of it's doe hunting. To be honest with you, they opened the doe season with gun season a few years back, and that you can take a doe on my side of the river, because I live on the Elk River, and on the south side where I'm at, growing up, it used to not be like that. You couldn't take a doe, you could only take bucks. And you could take either or on the north side, but you couldn't take either or on the south side. So we grew up bucks only, and obviously tried to manage the best we could there too, but it was still tough with the neighbors and things. Like, in other words, if I'd pass up a 4-point, he'd go across the next ridge and the neighbor would shoot him. So it's I think a lot of it is people that gun hunt only doesn't try to manage like, we do for bow hunting, and try to manage our property where, they're just out there to hunt, and they're just out there for, the meat that they need.
Can't taste the horns.
No, you can't.
Well, shoot a doe then.
That's a fine line conversation. I'm a horn hunter, but I'm also a meat hunter. So I like I like my horns, but I like my meat in the freezer too. So it kind of goes hand in hand.
A lot of deer where you're at.
There used to be, but coyotes and bear run them off. But mainly coyotes. We got a major coyote problem here. The deer population is it kind of comes and goes per year. We'll have a gun season that there's a lot of deer taken, and then we'll have a gun season next couple of years. It's not very good. They don't move very good. The numbers are like this year. The numbers are really low, just because of the weather was really bad in gun season this year. So we have the deer. They're just not. They're not here like they were growing up. The numbers are just not here as good as they were growing up.
Did you guys get hit by EHD?
My area didn't, that I know of, but I know just about every county in West Virginia did, and I know my county, Kanawha, got hit really hard. Clay County got hit really hard. Putnam County, Jackson County, the counties that surround me got hit really hard, but luckily I didn't find any sign of that in my area whatsoever.
I'd heard Ohio got hit extremely hard.
Ohio was awful. The pictures that I seen, the videos that I seen off of Facebook and stuff that I follow, it was awful. And I think that's where it started from, but then it just spread to here.
That's pretty unfortunate.
I feel for Ohio, I really do, and I know a lot of people, their deer just got destroyed on all the areas that they hunted, whether they had private property, property that they leased. If they hunted public, everywhere they walked, they was even find a deer dead in their yard from it. So it was awful.
There's places in Iowa that got hit pretty hard. I've never had to experience it.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that too. Anytime I hear any disease that kill deer like that in anywhere, it's just awful, because you gotta know that it takes does, fawns, bucks, whatever. If it's a deer, it takes it, and that destroys years in the making of a good deer herd in anywhere.
Unfortunately, it's just Mother Nature correcting herself, and not much you can do about it, but it normally happens after a population spike, it seems like.
It does. I'll agree with that. It's almost like it's a man-made thing, if that makes sense in any way, to control the population even more than what us hunters do. But it just seemed like it gets outbroke, kind of out of nowhere.
Maybe it is man-made, like coronavirus.
We're on the same page there, for sure.
Yeah, I don't know. I think CWD is more likely to be lab grown than EHD.
I would agree with that.
A lot of eyes on it, but if that's what they're trying to do to reduce the population, that is a big failure because I don't think it really kills deer.
No, um, I know some of it is worse than others, but if you want to control the deer population, make hunting season last longer, or open it earlier, or make you know a midsummer season or something. If you truly want to control the population, but of course that would if you did that, then that would make a whole lot of management hunters pretty ticked off. So I guess that it just depends on what area you're in. I guess.
More money for the state, anyways.
Yeah, that would be for sure.
Going back to the area you hunt in, how would you describe most of the hunters in that area? Are they trophy hunters, meat hunters, like brown it's down?
Well, my neighbors that we share property with, we're management. Um, we try to take bucks only, mature bucks, to manage it, but the neighbors, I don't like to say them myself, but if it's brown, it's down for all the neighboring people around me, and they are mainly me and my neighbors. We're bow hunter. We prefer bow over gun any day of the week, but my neighbors that we share with, they're the 2 week gun hunters. That's all they are.
The what?
2 week gun hunters. Rifle season's 2 weeks, so we're a 2 week. They're 2 week gun hunters. They don't hunt bow. They don't try to conserve. They don't try to manage. They just go out there, and if it's brown, it's down. So
Is that all it is? You can only hunt deer with gun 2 weeks out of the year?
2 weeks, and then we have a muzzleloader week. That's the week before Christmas. That was last week, and it's only 7 days.
I mean, that's not terrible. I think I was about the same, except late muzzleloader is closer to 3 or 4 weeks.
Okay. Yeah, we got
But nobody does that really.
right. We got gun season last 2 weeks here. Comes in on a Monday and then goes out 14 days later on a Sunday. And then bow season comes back in. And then, like I said, the muzzleloader comes in. It's the week before Christmas, so it just went out a couple days ago on Sunday. But it's only open 7 days. So
When does rifle open up in West Virginia?
the week of Thanksgiving, the Monday of Thanksgiving.
It's not terrible compared to some of the other states.
It's not, but if you listen, I don't know about Iowa, but if it's anything like here, if the first couple days are good weather, it is an absolute war going on here. And I used to like gun season growing up because, like I said, that's something that me and my dad used to do together. But since he turned me over and cut me loose on that, I've been hunting by myself ever since. And I just I don't care for gun season anymore like I used to.
I think in Missouri, it's peak rut. Maybe even in Minnesota too.
Like now, like this time of year.
Gun season for those two states I just mentioned are long gone now.
Right.
Mid-November, I think, is when they open up.
Okay. Yeah, like I said, it's the Monday of Thanksgiving, and then it goes through till like December 7th, I think, is the last day of gun season here.
Okay. Yeah. When does archery season open up?
September 27th, and it runs through till December 31st.
Fairly similar to Iowa. Iowa, historically, archery is opened up October 1st. And then there's an early muzzleloader for 4 or 7 days, kind of middle to end of October. Kind of like a limited tag. You have to be first come, first serve. Then shotgun 1 opens up the first full weekend in December, and it's Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then everything's off for 2 days. Then shotgun 2 is Saturday, Sunday, all the way through the following Sunday, 9 days. And then late muzzleloader opens up, let's say, December 15th through January 10th, and archery's open as well during that time.
Oh wow. Okay, so y'all got a lot of split seasons, a lot of kind of almost seasons that almost overlap each other, like a day or two. So that would be kind of tough. Bow season starts here in September 27th, and then it goes to, let's see, I think we have a early season. I know it's youth season. It seemed to me like there was an early doe season here before gun season, which starts the week of Thanksgiving. And then there might even be, let's see, it's a 2 or 3 day, it's only in certain counties, the bear hunt that come in before Thanksgiving. And then, like I said, bow season goes from September 27th to the first week of Thanksgiving. And then the bow season goes out while gun season's in. Gun season ends after 14 days, and then bow season comes back in. And then muzzleloader season is, like I said, the week before Christmas. So that was the last week for 7 days. And then there is a 4-day doe hunt that is coming up on this Sunday. It runs through next Wednesday, which is the last 4 days of December. And what they're trying to get people to do here, if the freezers are full and you still want to hunt, you can hunt, but donate the meat to an organization called Hunters Helping the Hungry. I don't know if they have that in Iowa or not, but it's a really good cause because the food banks are screaming for red meat. It's the hardest meat to come by here. I don't know about out there, but it's the hardest meat here to come by. So it's a really good cause, is what it is.
I think they have that program in Iowa, but for some reason I feel like the person who harvested the deer has to pay the processing fee.
But they don't, not well, maybe there, but they don't here. If you take the deer to the processor, you tell the processor that you want to donate that deer to the Helping Hungry. The processor pays the fee for that.
I've never done it in Iowa, but I had heard that the person who harvests the deer has to pay the processing fee, but I could be totally wrong on that.
Yeah, that's a good thing about here. If you, like I said, if you take it in and tell them you're doing it for the Helping the Hungry, they pay that fee. So that's a really good organization to do that with.
Especially when they open up a season specific for it.
Yes, yeah. I don't know how many does are normally taken during that period per year, but they're trying to get more people to do it starting this year and just grow it every year.
What weapons are allowed during rifle season, gun season?
Rifles only. Anything. I don't think like Ohio. I know that they have. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's straight walled cartridge rifle, like a 350 Legend. I think is one of the really popular rifle rounds in Ohio now. But it's any rifle that is legally allowed caliber wise to take a deer with in that 2-week period.
Iowa straight wall too. What do a lot of people use for calibers in West Virginia?
Man, it goes from a 243 to a 300, 30-06, 30-30, 270, 308. It's just pretty much whatever you got in the cabinet, whatever. I know a lot of guys that I know have their favorite round. I've got my favorite round.
6.5.
I've actually never shot one of those rounds, but I've heard people talk about how good they are.
It's a Colt with those 6.5 Creedmoors.
I've never heard anybody say that before. That's pretty good.
People are obsessed with them.
Yeah, they are. I've heard they shoot good. I've heard they shoot flat, but I've never shot one.
What's your go-to?
Mine's a 30-06, but my 30-06, the scope has been messed up, and I'm not sure what's wrong with it. So I've been using my 30-30. It's either a 30-30 or 30-06 for me.
What's going on with the scope?
I don't know. It's like it won't hold sight. Like wherever if I adjust the crosshairs to it, get it to where I want it 100 yards, because I sight my guns in at 100 yards. And it's like I put it in, I'm happy with it. I put it back in the cabinet, and a month later, I'll pull it out and shoot it. It's all over again. It's the whole process all over again. So I don't know if it needs cleaned. I don't know if it needs just a new scope put on it. I don't know what's wrong with it.
I had that problem once, and it took me a while to figure it out.
But I will say the scope on there now, I've only had about 4 different scopes put on that gun, so that might be part of the problem.
What kind of scope is it?
It's a Bushnell maybe. I mean, I'm a Bushnell fan, but I've never had a problem with the Bushnell until this one. I think it's a Bushnell.
How is it mounted? Do you have your scope rings? Do the scope rings go directly on the gun, or is there a rail?
There's directly on my 30-30. It's raised up probably about a half inch because it's got the iron sights on it too. So if you don't want to use the scope, you can look through it. But the 30-06, it's I think it's right on top of the rail.
But there's probably a Picatinny rail.
Mine is not. Mine is the 742 Woodmaster. So mine's the actual walnut board stock, metal black frame. Mine's the actual wood stock. That's what I like about it.
But what I'm trying to say, most rifles, they don't come with a rail. You have to screw like a 1-inch by 4-inch Picatinny rail.
Right.
And when I had that issue, it took me a while, but that rail was loose, not the scope rings around the scope. The rail was just a little bit loose. And I went through a season shooting, and I couldn't figure it out. And I finally figured it out, and you could barely move it, but it went from a sub MOA gun to like 4-inch group, and you could barely feel the play in that rail.
Is that right? I would have never. I don't know that I would. How long it would take me to figure that out? That might be my problem, because I know I got that rail on that. I've checked the scope. I've checked the rings, and the other problem with my scope now is the eye relief is horrible. It's almost like if you got like a 3x9 scope and you turn the focus all the way up to 9, the magnification on it, it's almost like you're looking at it on 9 and not 3. So it's like I can't get it focused right to be able to shoot it right for one. So, but that's the lowest power that scope will go that I've got it on. It's awful.
I was a big Leupold guy at first, and I can't remember if I bought Vortex binoculars, but all my optics are Vortex now, and I love them.
I've heard a lot of good things about Vortex. My wife's got I think she's got a Vortex on her 30-30 as well. Her dad gave her a couple years ago, and it's a really nice scope.
Unless they change their warranty, that's all I'm going for, because I had a brand new $600 scope on a smokeless muzzleloader, and I messed up and the muzzleloader blew up. First time shooting with that scope on, blew up the scope in a few pieces. I picked up the biggest piece I could find, and they replaced it.
Is that right? My goodness.
You could drop a $2,000 spotting scope and bust a glass, and they'll replace it. It's a no questions asked replace.
Wow, you can't go wrong with that then.
Leupold probably has higher end. I would say it's the upper class of middle class optics is what it is. It's good stuff.
I would agree with that.
I'd check that rail on your gun where the scope rings clamp down.
Yeah, I never thought about that, so I will do that. I'd love to get that thing cleaned up, back in order, and take that thing with me again. That's one of my favorite rounds, favorite gun. Period. That one, and well, matter of fact, that was the first rifle I had ever bought, and I bought that when I was old enough to buy a rifle without my parents buying it, this and that. But that's the one I shot my first deer with too.
Couple other things you can check. Make sure there's probably going to be a couple bolts that mount the stock. Check that. Maybe it wouldn't be a bad idea if you don't have like a torque screwdriver, because it's little stuff like that. I had a brand new AR 15 that I built, and it was a hot rod, and the gas block in between the handguard, it looked like enough clearance, 1/16 of an inch, But when I sent it back to the gunsmith, he's like, "That's too tight. That's why you can't get accuracy." So we machined the gas block down a little bit, never had any issues.
Is that right? Huh.
So if you don't have like if your stock's just a little bit loose and the stock is hitting the barrel on recoil, that'll throw your shot off, and the scope might be fine, but something else is causing some issues there.
Yeah, I never thought about that either. I appreciate that. I'll check that out whenever I get some time, see if that's what it is.
I'm kind of a gun nerd.
There's nothing wrong with that.
I do all my reloading and shot development
Oh,
and
do
all
you?
that stuff. Load development, yeah.
That would be. I've wanted to get into reload, but I just never have. I don't really have the room for it either. Um, but I would like to. I've never even seen it in person, to be honest with you. But I've seen videos of it. But that would be. I think that'd be fun to do. Uh, how much have you learned from doing that yourself?
A
I
lot.
bet.
So this is the process I go through just to find the perfect load. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to find a powder that I think is going to work. First step is you find the spectrum of what they recommend for that powder with the bullet size. So I usually pick out a powder, primer, bullet, and then let's say Hodgdon's says, okay, H4895 with this grain bullet, your min's this, your max that. So I kind of go from the high end down about, I don't know, 1.5 grains, and I'll do 45 grains, then 45.7, 45.9, and I'll have 10, and I'll do a ladder test. And what you do is you'll set up chronograph, you'll shoot each one at the target, and sometimes I'll mark a different color marker on the tip. That way you can see the color when it has the holes. And there's going to be kind of so you have a 1.5 grain variance, but there's going to be 3 rounds within that ladder that are going to be very similar in height and close together and very similar on the chronograph. So you might, at the low end, it's 3,500 feet per second. And then the next one's 3,580. And then you'll go up, and then there'll be 3 rounds that are very consistent on speed. And then you'll fine tune it a little bit more. And then you'll come back and you're like, okay, this is kind of the node within that ladder. So you'll narrow it down and do 4 rounds at this powder, 4 at this weight, and 4 at this weight. And then you start to narrow down, okay, this is the ideal charge weight. And then the next step is you worry about seating depth. So you kind of find, okay, this is the average seating depth. Then you kind of play around going a thousandth of an inch this way, thousandth of an inch this way. You load up 3 here, 3 here, 3 here. And that's one thing. Then you can also do neck tension, play around with neck tension, 3 at this neck tension, 3 at this neck tension. So how tight the rim of the cartridge is. An expert's probably going through 120 rounds before they get that perfect round where it's sub half inch, quarter inch MOA.
I've heard it's hard for me to believe and well, not believe, but it's hard to me imagine that there's that much into a round and how techy you can get with the round, that you're making. And to me, I think it would be fun to not only, one, to make it, 2, to know about it, obviously know what you're working with, but 3, know how to fine tune it. And it's crazy to me the amount of tuning you can do on a bullet. It amazes me.
Couple other things I'll do. So I have a 243 Winchester short mag. It's a little pickier, but you'll take something in the primer pocket to make sure if you're loading 200, you want them all super consistent. And then I'll run it through, it's called an annealer, where it'll basically heat up the neck. That way it's more palleable and consistent and not going to crack. Then on the 243 short mag, it's harder to find brass. So I'll run it through a sizer, then you might have inconsistencies in the brass thickness around the neck. So I kind of shave it off so it's super consistent thickness on the rim where the bullet makes contact with the rim. The professionals, they're basically sticking water in each one and measuring to make sure that the volume is super consistent in the brass before they even think about filling it up. And then you got the length of your brass. They all have to be super consistent. Some people will weigh them out to make sure they're exact. They'll weigh out the primers. The professional long range shooters are doing so much more than I am.
That's hard to believe. Listen to you talk. That's crazy.
Like, even me, I don't get in depth as much as some people, but when I size the annealing is, so when you go to get this piece of brass ready to load it, you size it to make sure there's so much tension on the neck around the bullet. And it looks, if you take this part of a pencil, it's just a super consistent metal rod is what it is. And you get them every thousandth of an inch. And I want it so consistent that I stick one in and I plug the primer pocket with my thumb, and it almost like you can't slide it down. But then if it's perfect, you'll slide it down with that primer pocket plugged, and that rod will go down. And when you let your finger off of it, it'll pop back up. It's like a little spring.
No kidding. Huh.
You're talking thousandths of an inch on neck thickness, brass length, bullet seating. I mean, super, super anal about some of that stuff, dude.
Right.
Like, the professionals are getting it within one granular, not like a weight, like one little stick of powder every time on the weight is how consistent they are.
Well, and I would think you'd have to be to do that, because if you would, if and I'm sure you have, if you would build a gun for a certain caliber you would want that gun to shoot how you'd want it. So that way you could fine tune of how that gun would shoot. I see what you're saying. That would be fun to learn and fun to see in the process. That would be cool.
I mean, for hunting, you probably don't need to be, I mean, if you're 100 yards shooting an inch group, that's more than accurate enough. But for me, it's a confidence thing. If I have a high power rifle and if I can't shoot 5 and cover it up with a dime, it's not even close. I want on a 243, if they're not overlapping by half the width of a bullet, all 3 of them, it's not accurate enough.
Wow, that's good stuff right there.
My best rifle, you can cover up 3 rounds at 200 yards with a dime.
My God, what caliber? 243.
243. Most of them, I mean, my worst one that I've done the low development on, you could still cover up with a nickel at 200 yards.
My goodness, that's some fine shooting right there. Fine tuning on the bullet too to get it like that. That's cool.
It's not needed. It's not needed. It's a confidence thing.
I can see that, but that's good stuff.
So, back to you. What do you shoot for a bow?
PSE brute force. I've had it I got it for Christmas of 2016. So it's got some age on it, but it still puts them down with the rest of them. I know I'm going to have to eventually upgrade, but I'm not really looking forward to that day. But I know I'm going to have to eventually.
You got a few more years on you. The bow I had before, I've bought a couple new ones in the past couple years, but I had the same bow I bought brand new in 2007, and I shot it up until probably 4 years ago. I think year 15, I still have the bow, was when I upgraded. But the issue I was having trouble with is it was getting harder and harder to tune. I don't know, maybe you get some play in the cams or you put a new string on it, and it's just way harder to tune the older bows.
I've heard that.
You'll run into that before anything else before having upgrade bows?
I'm afraid that I'm going to run into that with mine before I'm able to in a position to upgrade. But I've had new string cable put on it. I've put a new sight on it, a couple different air rests on it. I've put a Tadacam stabilizer camera on mine, and it's a good setup, but it's got some age on it. That's just what I'm afraid is going to happen before I'm able to upgrade.
I bet you got 5 years left.
I hope. I hope I do. I don't know that I want to wait that long, but I hope it's got that in it.
They're just so damn expensive, man.
It's just they're ridiculous. I've got a local bow shop in Charleston that has the one I want to upgrade, and it's a Matthews lift, or it's a Matthews lift or the Axis. And it's like 1400 bare bow, nothing on it. I mean, it's just like, heck, I mean, how does a normal guy afford something like that?
That's what I shoot as a lift, and I bought it brand new. That's 2 bow series old. It was lift, which I have. Last year was the lift RS or LS, and this year they just released the ARC.
The Arc, okay, yeah, I remember that.
They're $1,400 is pretty accurate on the price.
Yeah,
It's ridiculous.
and that's bare. So when I go to upgrade mine, I don't know that I want to strip the one that I've got now to put everything on the new bow, because I like to have a good backup and a good solid backup. But I'm also thinking too, if I don't strip the bow that I have, I'm gonna have that. I'm gonna have it well over 2,000 in a brand new bow that I could have probably got by with stripping my old one for. So I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence about that, but I mean,
You ain't gonna get it done for 2,000.
yeah, it's been a while since I've obviously had to buy any bow parts or rests or sights or anything like that.
I went a little overkill on mine because I'm hoping to shoot it for a long time. Last bow I really liked. I had it for 15 years, but I think I probably paid 1,300 for the bare bow, and I wouldn't recommend spending this much. I got the Matthews quiver, was probably 300. I got Matthews front and rear stabilizers, probably another 450, and 250 on a drop away. The scope I got on is probably $550.
Yeah, you went all out. Nothing wrong with that, but like you said, I mean, if you spend the money on something you love to do and you know you're going to use it, you know it's going to do the job that you're after, then why not to save yourself down the road and make know that you got something for years to come.
Why would you switch from PSC to Matthews?
I don't know. I've had a few people ask me that. Um, I have not shot a PSC since I bought this one, but I have shot a Hoyt. Don't ask me what model. It's been too long ago to remember what model. I've shot a Matthews. I like the way they feel. Of course, I like the way the PSC feels too, but I don't know, just something different maybe. But if I'd go to a bow shop now that had a PSC, a Hoyt, and a Matthews, I would just I'd have to shoot them just to see what the differences, the new ones are 10 years later, and just the feel of them, just kind of go from there.
Don't do it. You'll realize how much difference 10 years makes,
Oh,
man.
I guarantee it. Well, I shot the Matthews earlier this year or last year, and I shot it one time. It's the first time I've ever shot I've never shot a Matthews, and I shot that new lift. And as fast as he gave it to me to shoot, is how fast I handed it back to him. I was like, dude, no, get away from me. I can't afford it today. I'm not gonna be able to allow it back in the house if I get it today. So I give it up.
There's going to be bows that shoot as good or better than Matthews. They all have top of the line bows that are going to be very similar. The reason I go with Matthews is that's what I shot. My hand-me-down bow is a Matthews, and I didn't try anything else out when I bought a new one. I knew I wanted Matthews, and I shot that for 15 years, and it's just what I've always shot, so I'm going to stay loyal to it. But what really separates Matthews from the competitors is if you go with the Matthews brand accessories, they're just so streamlined and they look so damn good on the bow. Whereas if you go with Elite, I think their Elite brand quiver just looks like garbage compared to Matthews.
They do. No, I'll go along with you on that. I'm not a big fan of the Elites, how they look. I've never shot one. I used to have a Bowtech Razor Edge that my dad bought me when I outgrew the one that he bought my mom, the one that I first started with, and that was his bow is a Clearwater Power Mag. Now
Now what?
a Clearwater Power Mag that he got from a local bow shop here long before I was born. Now I'm 33, and that bow is probably at least 40 years old. I guarantee it. Oh, I'm sorry. My mom's bow is a high country bow that I started with. Now he bought her bow right around the same time, a couple years later, than he bought his Clearwater Power Mag. So the high country is what I started with, and then he bought me the Diamond Razor Edge from Bowtech, and then that bow I give to my wife now. She shoots with it every now and then with me, and then I went from the Diamond Razor Edge to the PSC Brute Force.
Yeah, they're all pretty good bows. I can't stand the way the PSE carbon bows look like. They're just so ugly.
They are.
Heard they shoot really, really good though.
Yeah. Let's see. I'm trying to remember the Brute Force that I bought. It was a year or two after I bought the Brute Force, and I bought it from Cabela's. They had the Ferocity. Am I saying that right? The PSC Ferocity. I went out there and shot it. And I wished I'd waited to buy the Ferocity and not the Brute Force, just because of how much better the cam system was on it, how much better the let-off system was. The bow was set up. The bow was balanced. To me, I think the Ferocity was just maybe a step above the Brute Force, but I can't complain about my bow at all. Like I said, it puts them down with the rest of them.
They didn't have your draw length?
I've got a short draw length. Mine's 27, and I can't remember. I think that the Brute Force might have been the only bow that they had at the time when I got it that had my draw length.
That's something else. I don't know if all brands are this way, but I mean, you could go to the local sporting goods store and they have 20 different bows there. You pick out your height and your color and don't even worry about the draw length or the poundage because they just switch off the mods there, and so much easier.
Is that right? Okay. Yeah. They can switch all that there. That's nice.
Yeah, I could spend $80 and order some new mods. You screw them on the cam, and it'd take my bow from a 28 570 pound to a 25 50 just by switching those out.
No kidding. Well, that's cool that they can do that. I don't think they do that here. Whatever bow you get, you either have to set it up to you, or you have to change. You have to switch to a different bow to find a setup that you can actually shoot.
So when you're hunting in West Virginia, is it a lot of set your tree stands up and go back to the local watering hole, or are you moving around?
I leave my stands out all year. I've got I like hang-on stands, and I like ladder stands, and I've got a blind as well. I don't normally move around. I just constantly mineral sites, feed sites, just to try to keep the deer on the same pattern, if you would, throughout the year versus changing it up with their pattern. But I need to get more mobile than what I am, and I know that because when they switch their patterns during the season, I hardly ever see them. So it's kind of like a summertime pattern, then early fall pattern. Of course, the rut's kind of just anywhere, any given time. But I don't do a whole lot of moving around. I've got set stands that I leave out all year and keep maintenance on those. And I'll go up in early spring, early fall, check them out, change the straps on them, and keep a mineral site going all year long, and just try to keep them used to coming to the same area all year long.
The guy I interviewed yesterday down in Mississippi, it's similar to where you're at, where it's just giant blocks of timber, but it's dead flat. And he says it's a nightmare to try patterning. Is it pretty easy to figure out, maybe not pattern, but if deer are in the area, they're going to follow a specific terrain feature?
For the most part, but it seems like whenever they change their feed pattern from one acre to another or one section to another, it kind of they do change paths, but it's not as much as you would think. But when they when they do change pattern, it's like night and day difference, because you can see them coming in at the same time, almost the same trail, and then the next day, literally that pattern changes, and they switch areas totally different, and it's hard to, it's tough to find them once they change their pattern.
To give you an idea, where I hunt, it's flat, and the timber that I hunt is a square timber, maybe 500 yards on each side. On each side, there might be 30 trails where they go in and out of the timber, whatever, 20 yards. It's so hard to play the wind because you don't have those terrain features. I'm assuming where you're hunting, if they're going to come down this ridge, they're going to be on this side of you.
That happens a lot. A couple hollers here that if you set up on one side, and it's kind of like a deep ravine kind of thing going from the mouth of the holler to the head of the holler up here, there's trails, 15 different trails that cross that same creek bed in a 50-yard span. So if you're sitting up here and they don't come this way, they'll come this way, and then they will walk from behind you to in front of you, but on a different trail out of range. And I've got 2-3 hollers like that you can see a trail, one or two certain trails that look like they're just wearing it out constantly, everyday use. And then you set something up there, a stand, mineral site, this and that, to try to hold them there, and then they'll change the pattern, and then they'll go completely opposite of where you are. So it's tough. Some places it's like this, and then it flattens out to a bench, and then it goes back to a steep piece on the hill, and then it comes up on a pipeline, and it goes down the other side of the hill to the same setup, same situation. And I like sitting up on the benches myself. They run those benches, day and night. But like I said, once they change that pattern, I can't figure out where they go, to be honest with you. The paths get wore out to nothing. So it's hard to keep up with them here. And I don't know about Iowa, but the wind swirls and changes here constantly. So if you're hunting a true north wind and you've got a stand set up for a true north wind, it could change south in a hurry and bust you out, or vice versa. The wind swirls here like crazy.
There's only so much you can do with the wind. I mean, it's never going to be perfect. You go out there with the north wind, and it's a little bit better where I'm at, but you could be in position all you want thinking you're going to be downwind of the deer, and then they'll use a different path, and then they're downwind of you.
Yes. So same exact thing happened here. We switched scent control companies a couple years ago, and it's literally the best stuff that we've ever used. Occasionally you'll have that wind switch, and it doesn't matter what you got on or what you're trying to do or avoid. You can't avoid it.
What scent control company do you use?
We use Scent Assassin now.
Heard of it, yeah.
It's the best scent company I've ever used. It truly is. They've got unscented, and they've got a natural earth scent. And that natural earth literally smells like a handful of dirt and leaves.
I think cover scent's a lot better than just scent control.
It is. It's tough to work with, but if everything goes right, it pays off. But it's tough to shower and try to cover your scent and then spray down in the field. You have to rely on it a lot.
What's the theory behind Scent Assassin? Do they have some theory of why it works better than everything else?
Because it's all natural made. There's no, what's the word I'm trying to find? There's no,
like baking soda and
yeah, it's nothing like that. I'm not exactly sure what is actually in Scent Assassin, but I know it's all natural. It's not made up stuff put together. It's like they go out, like extract stuff from like plants, so it's all natural to mix together. It's water and I think some kind of plant that they use to come up with the natural earth scent. But like I said, it's all natural. It's not just a bunch of random stuff thrown together.
does the unscented stuff have a smell to it?
No, none whatsoever. And some people swear by the unscented over the natural earth. And I've killed deer with both, so I can personally tell you that both of them work. And I use both, but the unscented you could absolutely no smell to whatsoever.
The reason I ask, I use Scent Killer Gold, and I've had pretty good luck with it, but there's a slight scent of something. I don't know what it is. Kind of like if you're to use the old scent killer with the baking soda, you can almost kind of smell it a little bit before it dries.
Right. I've never used Scent Killer Gold. I mean, I've heard a lot of people use it. A lot of people have success with it. But we went from oh shoot, what 3D Dead Downwind is what I started with years ago. That a buddy of mine got me on, and then I went from that to a company out of Ohio, Pure Whitetail. Nothing against Pure Whitetail. It just the cover spray just didn't work here. There's just every deer that I had come in, whether the wind was in my favor or not, they blowed me out every single time. And I tried to do them for 3 years, and I said, look, enough's enough. And I got a hold of Scent Assassin, and I'll never use anything else but Scent Assassin because I've seen it work personally, and I've got videos showing that it works that I've taken when I was bow hunting.
The worst is the scent spray. I don't know if it's so much anymore, but when I was younger, I used to get so pissed because I'd spray my bow down with scent spray. Then I'd get that white chalky residue on. You couldn't get rid of it. I'm like, God damn it! I just bought this bow.
Right? Yeah, I know what you're talking about. That's the residue stuff. That's nasty. No, this has no residue whatsoever, and you either smell like dirt and leaves, or you don't smell like nothing at all. So it works really good.
Out of all the stuff you've bought to, let's say, put yourself in better position, a tool for hunting or product, what do you think the best product that you've added to your arsenal is?
It would have to be scent cover, the Scent Assassin. I mean, I can't think of anything else that has made it better on a personal standpoint in the field. It's had to be Scent Assassin. It really has been.
That's the one thing you couldn't live without that you're using now?
No, if I don't have it, if I forget it for whatever reason, like I'm panicking. Like that's the truth. Like if I don't have Scent Assassin, I'm panicking. Like they have the body wash. They have clothes wash your clothes in it. That is unscented. And then they have the like I said, the unscented spray in the natural earth. But I won't hunt without Scent Assassin.
That's interesting. Now that I'm thinking of it, I don't know if I can think of exactly one piece I couldn't live without. It's probably my Sitka. I'm one of those boys.
Gotcha. There's and I've heard a lot of crap about Sitka, but I don't know. I don't know why. Like what gives Sitka a bad name, or why would you give somebody hell over Sitka? I've never understood that.
Like if a guy with a lot of money wore Gucci shoes, it's kind of how I'm picturing it.
Gotcha. So it's like fancy clothes. Okay.
Yeah, it's expensive and it's fancy, but the comfort and how it fits, and there's no bunching up, just the range of motion and the wind protection on it. I went from Under Armour to Sitka, and I was always freezing. I had 10 different layers with my Under Armour to stay warm, and then Sitka, it's down to 2.
Oh wow. So I've never wore Under Armour or Sitka. I've got base layers on that I wear, but I'm kind of like you. I put 3 or 4 layers on before, and that's just what I've always done. I've just wore because I sweat a lot and I sweat easy. So by the time I get to where I'm going to walk to or walk from the time I start walking to the time I get to stand, I'm usually soaking wet. So I try to, if I take a coat or 2 or 3 extra layers, I try to take those off before I start walking. And then once I get in the stand, get set, then I'll put that stuff back on just so I won't be cold. But I wear thermal long johns under my clothes, and I have kind of lightweight um, just mossy oak, just plain general mossy oak clothes. What I wear.
I can give you some guidance to fix that sweating problem.
Okay.
Buy good base layers. Because I used to have that problem too when I was just wearing whatever I could find. And I'm 37 now. And I think I struggled with the sweating up until 2 years ago until I started doing research on, and I'm not saying expensive base layers. Is the long johns your bottom layer?
Yes.
That's your problem. Because if you get a good quality base layer, so I wear merino wool thin stuff, then my next layer is like a polyester, and that merino wool will get that sweat off your skin so fast, and then the next layer soaks it up, and you never get that clammy feeling. I can walk out with my Sitka when it's 30 degrees, like what I'm going to sit in, and I might be clammy for a little bit, and it just sucks it all up. Do some research.
Yeah, I'll look into that.
Doesn't have to be Sitka base layers. I'm sure they make lighter weight, but I always wear real thin merino and then something else that'll soak up the sweat. Like the polyester, I think this is why I did the merino wool. It'll hold onto the sweat and regulate the temperature, but it gets it off your skin. And then the polyester, if you get it wet, kind of like a football jersey, it dries really fast.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Do some research. You don't have to buy expensive base layers, but going from long johns to like a decent merino wool, even if you put the merino wool under your long johns, you would notice a huge difference.
Is that right? Huh. Okay.
And I noticed the same thing when I switched from just regular warm socks. I wear the alpaca socks now. I never get that sweaty, clammy feeling on my feet anymore.
That'd be nice. I get that all the time, so I will definitely look into that.
Yeah, I'm not trying to gear you towards brands, but look at material.
Yeah.
Do some research, and it makes a big difference.
Gotcha. I will definitely do that. 'Cause that would that would save a whole lot of sweating for me. So that would be nice.
You get so warm walking out, and then, of course, you're hunting when it's cold, and that sweat just stays on your skin. You start freezing to death.
Right. I've had I couldn't tell you how many days that I've been in the stand soaking wet before I even get set. I'm like, well, here we go for another long another long set.
And the thing about merino wool is you can wear it for 10 days and it won't smell.
Really?
It
Wow.
regulates the scent too.
Wow. Huh. I will definitely have to look into that.
It's nice having good quality material when you're hunting, that's for sure.
If you're comfortable, it makes the day a lot better for sure.
You bet, man. So you're a mossy oak guy. I see wearing the mossy oak shirt, huh?
I am. I've been mossy oak for day one.
Is that what everybody wears out there?
A lot of it, but a lot of it is also real tree too. I don't know. Nothing against real tree. I like the pattern on mossy oak better.
If I were to get away from Sitka, like I think the mossy oak bottomland is the coolest camo
Yes,
pattern.
yes, that's one of my favorites. I don't own any of it, but that's one of my favorites.
It was big a while back, and then everybody wanted that realistic, like the real tree edge, and
Right.
but I don't think the patterns really make that much difference.
I don't either. But if you're like me, I like to blend in with the tree the best that I can. So the bottomland would definitely be a go-to. I'm a breakup, Xfinity, that kind of guy, but I do like my bottomland a lot.
You know, as long as you have some sort of blending in, I don't think I used to think Sitka looked so stupid.
Yeah, the camo is definitely different.
And then you look at Cooey or whatever, and
Yeah,
you're like, that's gonna stick out like a sore thumb. But
yeah, yeah. It's like some of these camo patterns. It's just like, who in the hell come up with this? Because this has nothing to do with blending in. So I don't know where they come up with some of this.
I don't know, man. It must work.
It must. I mean, they sell it. So, and I know every brand sells, but I guess it just depends on kind of where you're hunting at. Like if you just different layouts, I guess. It would work. It would work better. Something in like the Midwest. If you wore the kind of camo I got on now, I guess if I'd wore that in the Midwest, I'd kind of, in my opinion, stand out because I'm not blending in with how the land is out there.
Where I hunt, there's a lot of big oak trees, so I feel like mossy oak bottomland would blend in pretty good to the tree. But if you're hunting somewhere where there's a lot of, I don't know, smaller trees, like 12-inch diameter trees, then something like the real tree edge or something would probably work better.
Probably, I would agree with that. Yeah, I like to try to find something, like I said, blends in the best.
Blaze orange, man.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of blaze orange, but some of the seasons around here, that's what you got to have on.
You bet. You must be a big fisher. That's a pretty nice sized bass behind you.
I am. That's a 5-pound bass, and it's about the biggest one I've ever caught. And this deer here is my first compound kill. I killed him in 2016, and that buck, I missed the day before I got him, because I got buck fever. Buck fever is awful with me, and that's kind of where the addiction went from. I had the addiction long before I finally killed him, but that's just kind of helped it a little bit.
You'll never forget your first kill, will you?
Absolutely not. Never will. And if I can share something real quick, I got this one this year.
Damn, there you go.
That was with the old PSC. That's my best bow buck right here. So
He's got some real nice color to him.
yeah, he's got some chocolate down here at the bases. I'm not quite done with that mount yet, but it's in the works.
What kind of trees are they rubbing on in that area to get that color?
Man, I think it's probably poplar, maple, some oak, and then I think part of it's genetics too, of how healthy they are, what they feed on. But it's just a combination of everything.
I love like the Saskatchewan chocolate horns.
I do too.
So pretty.
Yes. I wanna. One of my bucket list kind of bucks I want to take is just a chocolate as chocolate can get rack. I just nothing like it.
Like a true chocolate horn whitetail is probably more rare in Iowa than a 200-incher.
Is that right?
I don't know if I've ever seen one.
Really?
I'm talking like pretty dark brown, like Saskatchewan.
Yeah, I hope one of these years I make it out to where you are and hunt to where I've heard and seen pictures of, seen videos of. I was one of my bucket list states to hunt whitetail.
I mean, even if you're in the best county in Iowa, where there's a lot of 200 inches killed, you could be on a property a mile away that just doesn't have the right layout and might not see anything over 140 inches.
Well, that's basically the way it is here. I mean, it depends on how you work that property too. But That's pretty much the way it is here too.
Some properties just hold big deer, some don't hold any big deer.
Right. That's that's pretty much the way it is here too.
All right, man. Well, we gotta start wrapping this up. Gotta get some food in me, but we always like to wrap up. It's kind of a tradition to make everybody share a couple of their most embarrassing hunting stories.
I was up the stand, had a had my bow. I didn't have it on the hanger. I had just gotten the stand. It was a wood platform. I had the bow on the wood platform by my feet, and I had a spike 4 point something like that, and I've yet to kill my first deer. So they caught me at a really bad angle. They caught me kind of bending down to pick up my bow. So I finally got the bow after like 10 minutes. And at that time, I used a Scotch strap release, and I went to click the release on my D loop, and the release wasn't there. And I'm like, this ain't gonna happen today.
What?
Yeah, I forgot my release, and I didn't even know I didn't have my release until I went to click it on the D loop. It was a bad time, to say the least. I'm like, how could I forget one of the most important things? But it bad.
I mean, even this year, so on my Matthews, you can slide the stabilizer in because I like a longer stabilizer, so I'll slide it in for the case. And I was about ready to shoot a doe, and I realized I had it slid in all the way. I was going to shoot anyways because I don't think the string would have hit it, but I wouldn't have been shooting at the same sight in as what I was if it was out. But I mean, I've been hunting for 25 years and I still do stuff like that.
I mean, if you don't do something like that, you're not doing it right. I mean, it happens, and if it don't happen, there's something wrong.
Happens to the best of us. What else you got?
Trying to think. I've dropped my rangefinder trying to range a deer. Of course, my hand's like this, so it's shaking so bad that I drop it. I have dropped my rangefinder. I've dropped my release. I've had to climb down to get either one. Obviously, they're pretty important. But one time I dropped my release. I climbed down to get it because I didn't have a choice. I didn't have a spare. And when I got on the ground to pick up the release, I had a buck walk in on me that I would have probably shot at the time.
Are you kidding me?
Here I am on the ground, release in my hand now. The bow is 25 feet above me, hanging in a tree, and I'm just kind of like, hey, what's up?
Thumb release or what?
No, at that time it was a trigger wrist release. I've got a thumb release now.
What do you think of the thumb release?
I like it. I like it a lot.
Which one you got?
The True Fire Edge 4-finger.
Is it black?
Camo. It's an ugly camo. But it's a 4-finger, and I'm glad I switched to it.
That's what a lot of people say. They can't persuade themselves to get rid of like the finger release. I switched to a thumb release because like, oh, this is gonna be cool. Hated it at first.
Yeah.
But I spent $120 on it. I better get used to it.
Right.
I would never in a million years go back.
If I had to, I would, but it would be a very tough. And I just switched to the thumb release this year, early summer, I think. But I got used to it pretty quick. I got used to it quicker than I thought I would, and I like it more than I thought I would. But I'm glad I switched. But if I had to go back for emergency or something like that, I'd figure it out.
So much more in control of your trigger.
Yes, yeah, and I thought it would take a long time to go, like muscle memory from the trigger to the thumb, but and going from here to here, I thought it would take more time to adjust, but it really didn't for me. It was a lot easier switch than I thought it was going to be.
Well, when you think about it, when you have a wrist strap, I know you could put it in the same hole every time, but you're still going to get inconsistencies. It might be back on your wrist when you pull back and not notice, or it's just uncomfortable having it on too when you're sitting in the stand. You got gloves on and it's always in the way.
Yes, and every time you move your arm for whatever reason, or if you have to, it's clanging and banging on the stand and making noise. And I'm glad I got away from it.
If I have the choice, I don't know if I'd ever go back.
I understand that for sure.
All right, buddy. Well, I gotta let you go. It's been fun. I appreciate you taking the time to hop on.
It's been fun. I appreciate it. It's been an honor to kind of do my first podcast. It was a lot of fun, and hopefully we can talk more in the future.
You bet. That's what we're all about, getting the people on podcasts that everybody else doesn't know about.
Right, that's good stuff.
All right, buddy. Take care.
Thank you.